Welcome to the 60th anniversary of the Fryingpan, Arkansas project, a project that was taking care of the past and had a look-see to the future. The project itself has many benefits, from irrigation to municipal and industrial to power to climate to environmental. All those elements have a major impact on the Arkansas Valley and the stakeholders that benefit from it. I've been here for 20 years, and the change within the 20 years has really been from, can we afford to pay for it? Was it too much? To know we can take care of paying for it. Now how do we make a better benefit to the stakeholders? I strongly believe that the benefits to the Fryingpan, Arkansas are just now starting to take major hold in the Arkansas Valley, and I think it will continue to grow. It's my hope that you'll enjoy what you hear in the next year as we walk through the 60th anniversary of the Fryingpan, Arkansas project.
The Fryingpan, Arkansas project brings water across the Continental Divide, from the Fryingpan River in the Colorado River Basin to the Arkansas Valley. It provides needed water for the Arkansas Valley, generates electricity for the western United States, and honors environmental commitments to the western slope. The project connects generations, those who saw the need, those who built the project, those who benefit from the project today, and those who will enjoy the project in the future. The seed for the Fry-Ark project was forever planted in the minds of Arkansas Valley civic leaders. Following the disastrous flood of 1921, there was already a keen awareness that claims on water rights often exceeded availability of water. But the Great Flood of '21 drove home the point that the erratic waters of the Arkansas River needed to be controlled as well. Cities up and down the Arkansas Valley were growing at a fast pace by the 1920s. With the population rising rapidly around the booming industrial hub of Pueblo and at the base of Pikes Peak, as well as in the mountain towns of the upper Arkansas and the rural centers of the lower Arkansas Valley. But the real gem at the time was the sprawling carpet of farmland that stretched from Pueblo to the Kansas state line. Rich soil lined the banks of the Arkansas River, and in good years yielded bumper crops. The problem was that there was not enough water in many years to satisfy the demand. In 1926, the Chamber of Commerce of southeastern Colorado, the commissioners of Pueblo, Crowley, Otero, Bent, and Prowers counties, financed an expedition by state engineer M.C. Hinderleiter to investigate potential sites for trans-mountain diversions. Hinderleiter completed his report in 1926 and wrote,
"The only remaining source of increased water supplies is that of trans-mountain diversion, and hence any move looking to the bringing of further supplies of water into the Arkansas River Valley is most laudable and should receive the united support of those having the best interests of this valley at heart."
Sites from the Taylor River to the Eagle River were investigated, but no project was selected, as the Chamber continued to ponder options that were all expensive, yet possible. Some of the interests in the Arkansas Valley could not wait for the united effort to take fruit. Farmers on the Colorado Canal in Crowley realized they held a junior water right, meaning that dry conditions impacted their fields first. With the financial help of the National Sugar Beet Company and the federal government, they built a tunnel near Independence Pass to bring water into Twin Lakes. Completed in 1934 as the Dust Bowl began to take hold in southeastern Colorado. Meanwhile, the united effort of the Southeastern Chamber to develop a trans-mountain diversion continued under new names with an expanding membership. The Dirty 30s drove home the point that a new source of water was needed for the survival of the Arkansas Valley. The Colorado Water Conservation Board was formed in 1937 as Congress approved the Colorado Big Thompson project in the northern part of Colorado. It provided hope for the Arkansas Valley that its dream of a trans-mountain diversion would finally blossom. As Harold Christie, a charter member of the Southeastern Colorado Water Conservancy District Board, would note years later,
"Nature gave Colorado two valuable resources, an abundance of water, and vast tracts of fertile and arable land. She gave us these great assets, but did not logically locate them for practical use. She left the job of consolidation to the hand of man.
The idea for the Fryingpan, Arkansas project began to grow with an abundance of enthusiasm following the end of World War II, when the citizens of the Arkansas Valley began to plan how a project of such grand scale might take shape. The Water Development Association of Southeastern Colorado formed to shepherd the project through the halls of government in Washington, D.C., to the mountains closer to home. From the early 1950s until the project became a reality, the members of the association made frequent trips to the nation's capital to win support for the Fry Arc project. Those close relationships that were so valuable then continue today.
The work that folks did 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago, they saw little or no benefit. They were forward thinking, and we're reaping the fruits of their labor today. And it's something I think we as current board members and current citizens in the Lower Arkansas Valley, we need to continue to plan for the future of our children and our grandchildren. So working with our congressional delegation and folks in Washington is absolutely critical. You will not move the ball forward without building those relationships.
A Life magazine article in 1955 chronicled the efforts of the association by focusing on the golden frying pans the group sold up and down the Arkansas River Valley to promote the Fry Arc project. The frying pans became an iconic symbol of the project, and some are still prominently displayed on the walls of water agencies or in private collections.
Down Main Street of Pueblo, Colorado, jangled a pack of burros laden with gold-tinted frying pans. Civic boosters were selling the pans for $5 and $100 each to raise funds to promote a vital regional endeavor, winning congressional approval for the Fryingpan, Arkansas project.
When you mention the frying pans, people will still say, "Oh, my grandparents had one of those." This illustrates how the project now benefits the generations that followed. Ann Nichols, who joined the board in 2006, is the daughter of Sid Nichols, who was a charter member of the board and served as president for 6 years.
Most of my memories about that is that my dad would be gone all the time because it was when they were trying to get the project authorized. My dad would bring stuff home on occasion when he would be in a business meeting or having come back from Washington, D.C., and I remember that he had a frying pan, a small frying pan that was used, I think, to raise money to help this campaign to get the project authorized.
There was a lot of behind-the-scenes work. For instance, attorneys had done much of the legwork in putting together a water rights portfolio over 3 decades prior to approval of the project.
Prior to the actual authorization, the people who were pushing to develop the Fryingpan, Arkansas project for Southeast Colorado had a long vision and a long time to try and put this together. And so they'd laid the groundwork for having the Fryingpan, Arkansas project clear back into the 30s, 40s, and 50s for the water rights to be acquired. So, because when the project was authorized, it didn't come with water rights per se. Those were the water rights that our predecessors had developed for the project once it was in fact authorized. And it was a long fight with the West Slope to actually develop the project.
The project itself took shape in substantially the same form as envisioned in the 1950s, with a few notable changes. The project once included multiple hydropower facilities on the eastern slope, powered by a series of canals. Those were replaced by the Mount Elbert Power Plant at Twin Lakes. In another part of the project, Root Eye Reservoir was constructed as compensatory storage for the western slope, rather than a smaller reservoir originally proposed near Aspen. But the need for supplementary agricultural and municipal water was always incorporated into the planning documents for the Fryingpan, Arkansas project, as were the Fountain Valley Pipeline and the Arkansas Valley Conduit. The people of the Arkansas Valley rallied, signing petitions to form the Southeastern Colorado Water Conservancy District by carving out parts of 9 counties, From Buena Vista to Lamar along the Arkansas River, and from Colorado Springs to Pueblo on Fountain Creek. The boundaries of the district are drawn such that only those who benefit pay a small property tax to support basic operations and pay the local share of the district. The district was approved in Pueblo District Court on April 29, 1958. Meanwhile, the efforts continued in Congress to gain authorization for the project through the persistent efforts of U.S. Representative J. Edgar Chenoweth in collaboration with U.S. Representative Wayne N. Aspinall, as well as other members of the Colorado delegation. Finally, Congress passed the bill, and on August 16, 1962, President John F. Kennedy signed the Fryingpan, Arkansas project into law, fulfilling a dream that was a generation in the making. The following day, he came to Pueblo to celebrate the creation of the project. In a wave of excitement for Pueblo and the Arkansas Valley as a whole, the presidential motorcade through downtown Pueblo and Kennedy's speech at District 60 Stadium still stir memories among those old enough to remember the event.
Little did I know when I watched President Kennedy's motorcade in 1962 heading for District 60 Stadium, what this project truly was all about.
Kennedy spoke of the Fry Arc project as a piece of a national responsibility. The will of the nation, to lift up all parts of that nation, a part of the national goal to improve life for all of the people, and a single project with many benefits.
I don't think there is any more valuable lesson for a president or member of the House and Senate than to fly as we have flown today over some of the bleakest land in the United States, and then to come to a river and see what grows next to it, and come to this city, and come to this town, and come to this platform, and know how vitally important water is.
The Bureau of Reclamation began building the Fry Arc project in 1963, laying out plans for the major features of the project. The repayment contract was signed in 1965, approved by a Southeastern District Board whose charter members were among those who had worked to make the project a reality. As President Kennedy realized, the project had multiple benefits: flood control, recreation, power, municipal, industrial, and irrigation. The district's responsibility would be to repay the municipal, industrial, and irrigation costs, about 1/4 of the total costs. But the process of actually building the project still lay ahead. Construction on Rudi Dam began in 1964 and completed in 1968. Rudi Reservoir is an amenity to the western slope, providing multi-use storage, recreation, power, and flood control for the Roaring Fork River Basin. At the same time as Rudi was being built, work began on other parts of the Fryingpan, Arkansas project. The collection system, the enlargement of Turquoise Reservoir and Twin Lakes, and the construction of Boosted Tunnel. Project water began flowing into the Arkansas River Basin in 1972, 10 years after the project began, but some of the tunnels of the collection system were not in place until 1980. Construction on Pueblo Dam began in 1970, and Pueblo Reservoir began filling in 1974. The Mount Elbert forebay and power plant were completed in 1981. The pump-back hydroelectric power plant generates up to 200 megawatts of electricity during peak power demand. By 1981, all the Fryingpan, Arkansas project water delivery structures were in place. The system itself is an engineering marvel, which brings water through the Continental Divide to the southeastern Colorado plains, relying solely on gravity. Melting snow and summer rains from the collection systems on the western slope bring flows to the mouth of the Boosted Tunnel. From there, it begins a 5-mile journey into Turquoise Reservoir, then flowing through the Mount Elbert conduit into Twin Lakes, and finally down the Arkansas River.
I can't help but think, when you think about the significant anniversaries that are happening in this time frame, when you think about Colorado River Compact, the 60th birthday of the Fry Arc project, I think about the innovation of our forefathers and how much forethought that they had to really secure Colorado's future. And of course, as we're thinking about these significant dates, I'm thinking about how my role now can play into the future of the generations that come after us.
Perhaps even more impressive than the construction of the Fryingpan, Arkansas project is its impact on southeastern Colorado. It's an economic engine that adds an estimated $1 billion annually to the regional economy. That has occurred because varied interests joined together to build water security through collaborative efforts.
We will not be successful if we do not form relationships between the urban and agriculture entities in water sharing programs. It's always a challenge and somewhat disconcerting when agriculture lands in the lower valley are dried up, but it's also essential that we work together with our urban neighbors to come up with solutions that benefit both agriculture and urban entities.
Irrigated agriculture in the lower Arkansas River Basin has benefited from nearly 1.7 million acre-feet of supplemental project water since sales of project water began in 1972. The return flows from that water have added another 500,000 acre-feet that supports well pumping in the valley. Finally, the project makes it possible to store water during the winter months and has stored more than 1.9 million acre-feet in Pueblo Reservoir since 1976. Southeastern board member Matt Heimerick remembers helping his father-in-law, Orville Tomke, irrigate on the Colorado Canal in winter.
But I do remember helping him, and we didn't really use shovels, we used axes to break up the surface water in the ditch to try to get, I think we were trying to irrigate out of a concrete ditch, and we were breaking water to try to get siphon tubes set.
Cities also have benefited in multiple ways. Municipal and industrial deliveries have totaled more than 600,000 acre-feet over the life of the project. Even more important is the increased availability of storage of both project water and non-project water if and when space is available. Municipal lines from Pueblo Dam include Pueblo West, the Fountain Valley Authority, Pueblo Water, and the Southern Delivery System. The Arkansas Valley Conduit, which will soon be under construction, will also draw water from Pueblo Reservoir.
I mean, storage is a huge benefit. But the great thing about the Fry-Ark project to me is it provides a venue for regional cooperation. And in water, I don't think there's any more one important thing than collaboration and cooperation.
In El Paso County, it was also hard for us to envision that we were going to ultimately be faced with a water contamination issue with groundwater sources. The water through the Fountain Valley Conduit, the water from the Fryingpan, Arkansas project was exceptionally important. Southern Delivery System also has to have the components of the Fry-Ark system in order to even exist. Over the years that it took to get that permitted and ultimately built, again, we have another water project that for El Paso County, for communities in El Paso County, security, Fountain and Colorado Springs, a vital part of the water supply.
In addition to the Mount Elbert Power Plant at Twin Lakes, Rudai Reservoir provides power for Aspen and surrounding communities. The recently completed James W. Broderick Hydropower Plant at Pueblo Dam is meeting part of the power supply needs for Fountain and Fort Carson.
I have to reflect on some of the statements that we've made regarding resilience and security, but also energy independence. That hydropower represents that. And so when we see concern across all of the western states, like what we're seeing now about energy production, to be able to be a part of the solution, at least in our own backyard, is something that I think represents who Colorado is as it relates to resiliency.
Ultimately, through the district, we were able to build a hydro generation facility. Fountain was ultimately in a position to do that and enter into a 30-year contract to be able to buy electric power at a rate that would reduce electric rates.
In addition to stabilizing flows for fish in the way the project is operated, the Fry-Ark project provides water for two fisheries, the Leadville National Fish Hatchery and the Pueblo State Fish Hatchery. Recreation opportunities are the crown jewels of the Fryingpan, Arkansas project. Lake Pueblo State Park was formed in 1975, soon after Pueblo Reservoir was completed. It is the most visited state park in Colorado. The Arkansas Headwaters Recreation Area opened in 1989 and grew with the popularity of rafting and fishing on the upper Arkansas River. Without the management of flows through the Arkansas River Canyon made possible by the Fry Arc project, recreational opportunities would be diminished. The nature of recreation has changed over the years.
In the authorizing legislation for the Fry Arc project, it does call out recreation and environment. It's not specific, and of course this was in the early 60s. I think that recreation at that time was probably perceived as flat water recreation on lakes. River rafting was, in this part of the world, was in its infancy.
Rafting and fishing grew tremendously on the Arkansas beginning in the 1980s, and it was the Trans Mountain water that provided the security for industries to develop around these activities.
And it has given us a lot more security so that we know that when entities participate in the flow program and try to do the right thing to support recreation in the summertime, that their contribution will be protected from somebody else wanting to use it in a different way. It's an amazing thing that this river is simultaneously the most boated river in Colorado from a recreational standpoint and the longest stretch of gold medal trout fishery water in the state as well.
Beyond all those tangible benefits, water management in the Arkansas Valley has been improved by the Fry Arc project. Since Pueblo Dam was completed, flood control benefits are estimated to be more than $36 million, and Rudai Dam has prevented about $20 million in flood damage to Basalt, Carbondale, and other downstream communities on the Fryingpan River. Storage and exchanges allow for the more efficient use of water and the flow management programs on the upper Arkansas and through Pueblo Protect Fish Habitat. The project's past has brought water use on the Arkansas River to a critical juncture, and today's leaders realize the work is not done.
I think as it relates to the significance of the first 60 years, I hope that our next generations think about the amount of effort that it took to really provide their security, and they think about that for their future generations. So when we think about where we are now, I think about the folks that were at the table not thinking about themselves or just their lifespan, but thinking about their future generations and the future of an area, the future of the Arkansas Valley.
So it was generations of the past that envisioned the Fryingpan Arkansas project. Today we're enjoying many of the benefits of that project, and those benefits will continue into the future. The Fryingpan Arkansas project brings us water security and will help us cope with climate change in the future. In the next year, we'll be bringing you more stories about the Fryingpan Arkansas project, the security that it brings to water users in the Arkansas Valley, the challenges that are faced, and the opportunities that lie ahead. Thank you very much.